Welcome to my video on 6mm resin printed samurai. What you're looking at right now is a base I put together with 6mm Bacchus pewter miniatures. You may be wondering, why are you looking at this? Well, this is a starter as to where we're starting from. I started making up these bases and for a battle and realized I don't have all the different types of miniatures that I need. Bacchus doesn't create certain miniatures, and also 2D6 doesn't create those 6mm samurai miniatures either. So I went looking for a company that actually would produce those. Well, the three types I was looking for were the peasants, like the militia, samurai bow on foot, and samurai bow mounted. And I discovered the company called Project Wargaming actually has 3D STL files that you can actually purchase and have printed. It's really designed for printing yourself, but the vast majority of us don't own resin printers. And I had found a blog that actually was talking about taking these 3D files and having them printed, and showed them off, showed printing, what was printed in the painting, and saw the quality of it was great. And being a novice myself, trying to figure out, well, what can I do? And I have no interest at the moment, and to my knowledge ever, of getting a 3D printer and having all that to worry about, and really, even if I wanted to, really don't have much room to actually set one up, and don't really have the desire to learn the files and how to set them up and do the printing. So what could I do? So I did some research and found a website that talked about this company, this website called treatstock.com, and I'll put the links to everything I really talk about in here in the description in this video. But I just it looked like what you did was upload the 3D file to the website, and then going through all the different steps, you could place an order for miniatures and have them printed and shipped directly to you. So I'm like, that seems to be an option. So I took the jump and I purchased the Samurai Army from Project Wargaming. And you can actually view the files in Windows 10 just using, I believe it's called Paint 3D. But you can actually spin the files and actually look at them yourself. And when I looked at them, I was impressed at the quality and the detail. These were designed for 6mm, but it looks like the miniatures can be used for larger scales. And another aspect to these 3D files when printing is the actual supports. And these files had all the supports in there. And there were many poses for each type of samurai, ashigaru leaders that you're looking for. So definitely more poses than Bacchus or 2D6. I, again, novice 3D. I've seen them. I've heard them talked about, and what's happening in the industry right now with 3D printing. So I dove right in and went through TreatStock and uploaded the files. I initially did a test. I was just like, okay, well, let's just see what we can get out of this. So I just picked out 2 different files, STL files, uploaded them. And what you do is you can go through and pick the type of print you want to do. And with the detail and this scale, the best was to go with like a resin. So I picked resin. You can pick the color of resin. I'll pick a gray. And then what you can do is you can choose the manufacturer, and you can filter down on however you want. And I went ahead and filtered to something in the U.S. And you can see prices, and you can determine, looking at reviews and whatnot, seeing how you want to choose the manufacturer to go with. And the good thing is with a lot of these companies, they all have like all sorts of reviews with pictures, so you can actually see what they're printing. They tell you what printer they're using, how many printers they have, turnaround time. I do recommend the site, and I will say it worked for me. I sent in the files, great communication. I sent in the samples, and he sent pictures back to me of what they look like afterwards, and they looked fine to me, and shipped them, I think, less than 2 weeks. I didn't print out very many prints. He did supply extras in there, and I've started to print up those samples. Take a look at them here. These are started to print up the cavalry. This is with all the supports removed. He shipped them with the supports still attached. I think, depending on what you choose with the manufacturer and communication, they may remove the supports. There are quite a few supports in both the samurai, the infantry, the ashigaru, and the cavalry units. So it does take a little bit of time. And at this scale, it is just like we do with flashing and that, with all sorts of scales. It takes some patience and some skill, and I'm definitely still working on my skill removing these supports without damaging the models and that. But I think they will work. They turn out great. So I was happy with the prints and what they turned out and how I could remove the supports and that. I'm like, okay, well, let's place the real order. Let's place the big one. So I placed. I needed 70. No. I needed, let's just say, I don't know, around 200 bases, both cavalry and infantry. So I placed the order, and from order to receiving it was within a week. So I think it's a great option. Um, I do like all the different poses, and the detail is really good. Again, you're still dealing with fragile miniatures. I think the key with these is to order extras. I think what they do is they give you extras anyways, but as part of your order, I would order uh, maybe even 25% more. That way, with breakage and what I'm finding is some of these misprints, you end up with what you need in the end. So, so these are the samples I had started printing up, and just to give you an idea of how I was trying to line them up with what I have currently painted up with the Bacchus miniatures, is I really wanted these to align with them. Even though I'm not going to mix them on bases, I still wanted to do the same scale. So we've got a Bacchus here base already painted up, ready to go, except for the actual base. And then I've got a Bacchus Samurai Cavalry here with, this is the sample cavalry unit that I did a sample with, and then sample. I believe these are samurai. Yep. So what I wanted to get the scaling right across the board, at least get it close. Now, one thing to note with these prints is that the base itself is very thin compared to the Bacchus base, which is pretty thick in comparison, and independently it's thick. So if you were to mix them side by side the way it is, these would appear smaller. But if you take the actual base of Bacchus infantry when they're standing on the base, they are the same height, same 6mm height. So if you were to mix them, you maybe put a piece of card or something underneath these, or just have a thicker total base. So then they will line up fine. The horses, on the other hand, are quite a bit different. You can see even with the base difference, the horses and the samurai are smaller by quite a bit. Okay, yes, Japanese horses were smaller, but when you're trying to mix Bacchus with the 3D print, I would argue you have to scale up the 3D print to match up at least with the horse the same size. So that's what I did in my second order. Is I asked for, I think, just a 1mm increase in size for the whole cavalry miniature. So I'm happy with it. So that's just something to take into consideration, is scaling of the 3D. These are very good, and it probably wouldn't be an issue if you just went 3D print, no Bacchus, no 2D6. There wouldn't be a scale. You wouldn't notice, but this is pretty noticeable in the cavalry. So that was after the test, some scaling that I needed to do. So looking at what actually does get printed, let's take a cavalry unit, cavalry miniatures here in 3D. You can see the supports that are generated, and then the base plate here that is created. In this case, the The actual STL file is just these two horse and riders here. So if you want to print multiple, you sort of stack them all together side by side, and then you can print them all at once. And this is the base plate, and then it's filling, printing downwards. So you can see that the bottom of the actual base there is attached to this main base here. So in this print here, there are some issues. You can see back here, there's almost like a giant blob underneath the horse that's not printed correctly. Same with this one here. You can see a big blob. So that's going to take some sculpting, or it may break and I may lose that miniature. But most of them turned out really nice. You can see the supports, and then you'll cut those off. Now, depending on the manufacturer, doing it at home yourself, you may not have these issues that I'm seeing here. You may just like throw it away and just reprint, or you're able to maybe modify the STL file so you don't have as many supports underneath the horse. You may not need as many or something. So, or a better printer, whatnot. So I'm happy with this group. Here's some Ashigaru Spearmint. So same sort of thing. To do a single print with all these files put in here. This one turned out pretty good. Not seeing many issues with it. Again, you can see all the supports. They'll have to clean up afterwards, but the detail is excellent. Just a small view here of some archers. So that this is a single STL file that have three soldiers here, all on in a way a single base, even though they're circular. They're all attached. And I'm not going to cut those off, and I'm just going to keep all three together, and just put them all in the base in groups of three. Now, I think you can see this. I did not know that you could get a detail of an arrow in 6mm archers. But this is proof that you can get it. You're not going to get it all the time, but sometimes during the print, you end up with an arrow. I'm impressed. I can't believe there's actually an arrow showing up in my 6mm archers. You can see that some of these bows and that are broken. When it comes to things breaking or not printing, I think you'd have to have a really good manufacturer that'll go through and reprint and get it correct. Or at home, you just keep fixing it, reprinting it, invest in a better print. I don't know, but the broken bows in that I found in pewter as well, with the 2D6 and the Bacchus. So I'm pretty I'm pretty used to that. In the end, I hope I get most, but if some are still broken, hey, I hope nobody really gets that picky with 6 millimeter. Now, let me show you another base that was sent to me. Again, the idea that you order more than you actually need. Let me see if I can focus that a little bit better. This is what I got. And when he sent the sample photo to me, I was just like, this is what you're going to send me? We've got a complete missing figure here. And where are these bases here? Up here? I've got the supports, but there's nothing there. This warpage here, it's not flat, it's curved. Let me try and get that. There it is. It's curved. There was another base here. Yeah, this one shows you again missing miniatures. And this guy, he only got his torso. Where's his legs? But the next one over here is perfect. So I'm not sure what the story is with the printer. But again, if you get extras or your manufacturer provides extras, in the end you will end up with all the miniatures I think you need, and it's just disconcerting when you see, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to send you, and there's these gaps and guys melting into their base right here. What are you sending me? So that was a little bit of a learning process. So I'm completely happy with these, and I think they're going to paint up fine, and the detail is definitely better than the pewter that I've seen. 2D6 is pretty good for detail. The Bacchus, not so much, but I'd say these could go up to 10, even maybe 15 millimeter, and they would look great. So when it comes to 3D, I'm going to say I recommend it. I will probably start doing more 3D printing, purchasing or looking at free options, resin, non-resin, depending on what I'm printing, whether it's buildings or miniatures. Cost-wise, it's, from what I've been looking at, it appears to be cheaper. Definitely when it comes to ordering from the UK into the US, or vice versa for those in the UK. If you can get something local. So that's what I've been looking at for the different 3D printed for the Samurai that I need. Now when it comes to the supports, now the supports, from what I've been reading, is that it's kind of recommended to remove the supports before curing, before the curing step. You can remove the supports after it's cured, and that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I've been doing. So I do currently, my recommendation is, yeah, pop these in warm water so it's more pliable to break off these. When it comes to this manufacturer and the way they were designed, is that the connection point from the support to the model itself is thicker than I've seen with other 3D prints, they typically would be quite small and thin at the connection point. So I've noticed when you're clipping, cutting, it's pretty dangerous. That you could lose parts of the, in this case, the tail, or the bow, or a leg of the horse. So I recommend getting this thing nice and warm from being in hot water. Warm water, I have yet to see a difference between hot or warm, but just get it a little, get it softer. So when you are clipping on that, it's going to be pretty pliable, and it should come off pretty well. And I've had no problems. I have had problems when I didn't put it in water and I just tried to clip it and cut and stuff, just like pewter. It's just like, oh, I'll just shave it, cut it, do whatever. No, this is not as forgiving with all these pieces and that. I've lost legs and stuff off these horses. So I recommend that. And yeah, so hopefully we'll get them all mixed together coming up for a battle. And my recommendation, if you're starting out, compared to pewter, if you have the option for a whole army in plastic versus resin, plastic / resin compared to pewter, look at your options. Look at the cost, where it's coming from. If you actually have available in pewter everything you need, or if everything is available in resin for miniatures, whether it's 6mm Samurai or 15mm American Civil War or 20mm World War II. Look at your options and look at the models themselves. And wow, I certainly would recommend looking at resin as 3D printed as an option, and you don't need to own a printer. A lot is out there is in the hobby is, okay, this is how you look at different printers and whatnot. You don't have to. You can just go out there and take a look at treat stock and just play around with it. Just grab a free resin STL, a free STL file out there, and just upload it, and just go through the steps, and just stop it. When you get to the point of ordering. There's just tons of manufacturers out there, even in your own area, in your own city. You could maybe just pick them up directly. You don't have to have them shipped, or within your country, so you don't have to pay for exorbitant shipping. This might be a good option for Australia, where you don't have to order Bacchus from the UK and pay insane postage. You can find something 3D printed, and I didn't look at it, but I bet there are a number of local Australian 3D printing companies out there where you can get your army, your vehicles, your ships, your planes, whatever you need printed. And I use this to supplement what I had purchased I had purchased a Bacchus army. I had purchased a 2D6 army, and I didn't know at the time that I'd need militia, these peasants, and I didn't know I needed all these bow samurai on foot and horse. That's on me. I figured if you're buying a samurai army, you're getting everything you need, but that's not the case. And they don't manufacture those that you need. And this is common. We need a certain vehicle we can't find. We look for a different source, and really 3D printing, I think, is filling that source. Now, I had in the past gone through Shapeways. I had ordered ships that I needed, and they were shipped. Funnels were broken off and stuff, and that was my source for 3D printed stuff. Go in there. This was years ago, and now, wow, things have really opened up, and there's a lot more options. And I don't know one to one if it's cheaper than Shapeways, but just look it up. Just do your own research, and I do like these with the supports shipped to me. That way, I'm not as worried. I'm less worried about things breaking in shipping, even though they're well packed in that. Having the supports, I think, during shipping helps. And we're so used to cleaning pewter miniatures with all the flash in that already, but we're certainly not popping our pewter miniatures in hot water to take off anything, to help take off anything. So I certainly don't. So that's something different with the resin, is pop them in some hot water, and it helps immensely taking off the supports. It's a chore. You're taking off quite a few supports in this case, but I think in the end you're getting for the price, the quality, you're getting a pretty good product in the end. So yeah, to wrap this up, I think I'm going to recommend the 3D printed, whether you do it at home with your own resin printer, or you have somebody else do it. You go through TreatStock or some other website that actually finds you manufacturers. You know a specific manufacturer that can do it for you. I'm not going to recommend a very specific company. I was happy with the company I dealt with, and you can see what they print, the quality they can generate, and maybe you know the printer. You know a certain resin printer is a really good one and will do a good job. You can search on that. You can find who's printing with that. Yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and yeah, hopefully this was helpful. If you're going into 6mm Samurai, I think a lot of these videos are maybe of use to you. There's some information out there with regards to the 6mm Samurai. I recommend, to me it doesn't matter, pewter or resin, 3D printed. Just get them on the table, get them painted up, and get them on the table, and yeah, enjoy. Hopefully in a new future video, I'll have some more painted up, can show them off, and get a battle out there. It looks like I'm going to be using Commands and Colors Samurai battles, at least initially. Just get a battle out there. So, okay, I'll talk to you guys later. See you in the next one.